Well, tell her we said hey, and she's welcome to hang out.
Oh,
Get out of your
I
room.
wanted to hang out, and she was like, "No," she left. So I was like, "Okay."
All right, guys, we're gonna go live. Ready?
Yeah.
Go.
Yep.
Heart of Stone. Written
Wait,
by.
I think we need to do introductions.
Yeah, we have to do a big intro first. Hold on. And we are live.
Hey guys, thank you for joining us back here at 321 Productions. We have an awesome script for you called Heart of Stone. It's going to be amazing. Before we get into that, I want to actually turn it to the creator of this story, Lynn. Tell us a bit about it. Tell us a bit about your inspiration, but not too much because we have a Q&A at the end, so we got to leave on something to hang around.
Okay. So, hi, I am Lynn Dean. And first of all, I'm going to be reading for Hermes, Sailor 1 and Sailor 2, and Persephone. So I wrote Heart of Stone, and it is based on the myth of Perseus and Medusa. And it is a Marxism as in a social, like a view on the social systems, not communism. But it's a Marxist view and a feminist view on this myth that has sort of been glossed over a little bit. And we sort of concentrate a lot on the Perseus side of things, but really, if you look at it, there's a lot more dimension to it. So, that's you.
My name is Michael. I am Hades, which you'll hear at some point, and I am the new.
All right. No, we appreciate it. We're pumped to get started. I guess I'll take it from there. I am Java. This time I'll actually be reading for Perseus. So this will be fun. Get to have fun with you guys, not just reading narration. From starting from the top of my screen, we'll actually go with Steifon. Who are you? Who you playing?
My name is Steifon Passmore, and I will be portraying the King Polydectes and the god Poseidon.
All right, Angela.
I'm Angela, and I'll be reading for Athena, and also you're going to make me say the names.
Ask Lynn for help if you struggle with the name.
Lynn, would you like to assist me, please?
Stefano.
And also Perseus's mother,
Danae.
Danae. I don't have to say their names when I'm reading for them, so I don't have this problem.
That's why I chose Perseus. I don't get any of your names. All right, let's take it to Ty.
Hi, my name is Ty Hill, and I'm reading for Medusa.
And Brianna.
Hi, my name is Brianna, and I'm reading You're you? Oh, okay. What Lynn said.
No, this is going to be a lot of fun. We have an awesome cast for you. We think you'll really enjoy the story. So everyone that's tuning in and will tune in, we thank you. But before we begin, we'll be amiss not to mention the big boss who's always making this possible. And is the one keeping 321 afloat and going forward. Big boss, CEO, co-founder, Paige, anything to add?
Hey everyone, thank you as always for coming and hanging out with us. Java likes to act like I do all the work, but I didn't even know who was going to be our cast until I get here, so that's not completely true. But I just want to thank, first of all, Lynn for trusting us with a story so close to your heart and letting us be a part of it, because that's all we want. If you're out there and you have a script, you're like, wow, I'd really like to see that read by some great actors, message us, email us, let us know. We would love to hear what you have to say and share your story with a wide audience. Again, thank you to our cast. You guys are amazing. And everyone tuning in, we couldn't do it without you. So we appreciate it.
Before we get started, just really briefly, I want to say there's a trigger warning for this piece. And if you are sensitive to depictions of sexual assault and rape, I cannot recommend this. So,
Heart of Stone, written by Leavigne, based on Benny, the myth of Medusa and Perseus. Faded. Interior, long hallway, dawn. The hallway is lit only by the moon cutting through the woods. We see the shape of statues lining either side, stretching as far as the eye can see. Exterior, similar in ancient Greece, dust. A fight sprawls between the Gorgon sisters, Medusa, Steifon, and Euryale, and an ensemble of characters. One by one, they become the statues from the hall. As the fight ends, Medusa is grabbed and pulled into the shadows. A fight can be heard. Medusa emerges with Perseus' head in her hand, hanging at her side. She returns to her sisters. They freeze as she turns to the camera.
Perseus, the hero, or rather the brave little pawn of the gods. He was already on the other side of the board when he realized what he did, who he was really fighting for. Let's be clear, this didn't really happen.
Medusa drops the head.
Perseus could never fall to me because of our destinies are entwined in fate, and if he did fall to me, that would mean there is actually justice in this world. The only justice is the justice that they feed to you to make you feel better about being just a piece instead of a player. Now this story is about how the pieces fell.
The scene continues, and she turns to rejoin her sisters. Interior, Perseus' home, night. Perseus sits at a dining room table by himself. Danae enters and places a plate of food before him, and then herself. She sits down.
I just don't understand why you even want to marry him.
Son.
He's a jackass. He treats you like a sex object.
Perseus, I don't exactly want to talk about sex with my son.
I'm just saying, do you really even love him?
He's done a lot for us, Perseus.
That doesn't mean that you owe him anything, let alone having to marry him.
He can take care of us.
I can take care of us.
You are a child, Perseus. There's no need to bear that burden.
She begins to eat.
That doesn't mean that you should bear it.
You don't understand.
I understand perfectly. You aren't standing up for yourself, so I will.
Perseus stands and barrels towards the door.
Perseus, where do you think you're going?
To get you out of a loveless marriage.
Perseus exits. Interior, Polydectes' castle, day. Polydectes lies on an ornate chase in a massive room being fed grapes by his guards. He misses a grape and finally catches it, noticing Perseus in the process. He chokes on the grape and a guard slaps him on the back until it flies from his mouth. Perseus bows low to hide his laughter.
Hello there, your majesty.
Polydectes goes back to eating grapes.
Why, hello there, future son.
He yanks another grape from the vine.
Yeah, about that.
Yes, son.
He eats another grape.
Yeah. You know, as the king, you have several other options. Younger options. Better looking options. Options that...
Your mother is a beautiful woman.
No, I totally agree.
Shall I call you Oedipus now?
He looks up at a guard to make sure he's laughing.
No, not in a creepy way. I mean, like, she is... I will literally give you anything to not marry her.
Why?
They stand in a heavy silence.
Look, son.
He goes back to eating grapes and reclines again.
Perseus.
Son, I'm actually marrying another woman next week. Just because I've done everything for your mother after the two of you were tragically abandoned by your grandfather doesn't mean she owes me anything. What kind of person do you think I am?
Another grape is carefully laid into his mouth.
But you know, basically, my son, I did take care of you as a baby. I feel like I deserve something for this grace, as a wedding present, you know.
I will literally give you anything.
A horse? Oh, you know I do love horses.
Well, as you know, I'm not exactly rich.
Well, if you could add to my collection, that would be just wonderful.
Collection of horses.
Collection of heads.
He eats another grape.
A perfectly reasonable thing to collect. Sure, of course. A boar's head or the head
Or
of...
the head of Medusa?
Polydectes watches him expectantly.
Yeah, sure. Sounds cool.
Great! See you with it. Sunset tomorrow?
Let's make it noon tomorrow, my king.
See you then.
Interior, Athena's temple, day. Perseus goes to the altar and begins to pray at the feet of the statue of the king.
Oh, dear Athena, protect me while...
Athena, who seemed to be a statue moments before, hits him in the back of the head.
Idiot.
Ow! What was that for? It isn't very wise to hit a hero going on a noble quest.
You think you can speak to me about wisdom?
You know, if I get a concussion, then I could
believe this is my
literally
life right
die.
now.
You
Shut
should really
up.
be more responsible. Yes, dear goddess. Whatever you say, dear goddess.
Do you even comprehend what you just got yourself into, Perseus Odysseus Agne?
Oh. How do you know my name? A little creepy, old gray-eyed one.
Did you know this horror you just agreed to slay can literally turn you to stone just by looking at you?
Wait. Really?
Really?
Perseus considers his fate from
Malaka.
Oh, shit is right.
How do I even fight that?
You should have thought about that before you agreed to do it.
Perseus.
Can you help me?
Can I? Fine. You would die otherwise. I'll agree to do it, but only because I dislike Medusa.
Oh, drama. What happened?
She desecrated my temple.
Oh.
Now, she has two sisters, and they are very difficult to tell apart. Just remember that Medusa is the one with the hair of snakes. The other ones look horrid, but they don't have that. Most importantly, you must remember this. Do not look at her face.
How am I supposed to tell her from the other two if I can't look at them?
Take this.
Athena hands him her shield.
And this.
Athena hands him her helmet. Perseus takes them and just stares at them.
A helmet and a mirror.
It is a shield so that you can see her, and that is the helmet of invincibility to keep her claws from piercing your skin. But if you would rather go without, you can just give them back.
No, I'll take them. Thank you. What about a weapon?
Hermes will have something, although they are a rather busy person. Hermes, darling.
Hermes sprints into the room and continues running in place.
Yes, hello, I'm very busy. What is it, Athena?
Do you have a weapon that dear Perseus could use? I have the money.
Hermes snatches the money, drops a sickle and a bag.
Sure, take these things too. Gotta run. Bye!
He takes off with the winged sandals with an afterthought and sprints away again.
What just happened?
That's Hermes. They're just like that. Always business and never a part of it.
Perseus sits down and switches out their shoes, picks up everything else, and stands overburdened for his journey.
Ready?
Nervous.
Don't be.
She puts the helmet face on him.
You have the gods' blessings.
She kisses his forehead before returning to his statue state. Perseus stands for a moment, waves a hand toward her face, shrugs at the lack of response, and leaves. Interior, Poseidon's kingdom, day. Poseidon, king of the sea, sits at a table drinking the latest of many wine bottles surrounding him. Hermes rushes in, handing him a letter, and waits.
Hermes, what have you brought for me today?
Just a letter from Zeus.
Wasn't I supposed to get this an hour ago? You're down on your game, Hermes.
I got a little behind. I had to run a few emergency errands for Athena.
Athena? So you ditched one of the three main gods to go to Athena. Enlighten me, Hermes. What's it like to ignore all of the rules and do whatever you want?
Poseidon continues to drink and sort through papers while he talks.
Save your shit, Poseidon. You know that I don't want to be involved with your messes, and I sure as hell don't want to clean them up. Now give me your money.
Oh, claws out with the messenger god. Very well.
Poseidon tosses coins carelessly in Hermes' direction. He notices their sandals are gone.
Hermes, where are your sandals? Did you walk here?
Actually noticing something besides yourself. Wow, good boy.
Hermes pats him on the head, and Poseidon glares at him.
She's getting some guy to kill someone she has a problem with. None of my business. She paid well. But the boy would die without some help. So she asked me to provide some supplies, and I haven't really had time to put on my extra pair.
Athena has a problem with a mortal. That is surprising. I don't see why she doesn't just off them herself. But women, you know, especially Aphrodite.
Sorry, can't relate to your binary standards. Why are you wasting my time?
Hermes turns to leave.
Who was it?
Hermes.
I'm just curious.
Medusa.
Poseidon plays with the bottle of wine and then drinks it.
Do you have a message that you need to be sent or returned?
No.
All right. See ya.
Hermes leaves.
Medusa. I never thought I would hear that name again. I wonder how that curse is treating her. Really is a shame she couldn't be here with me.
Interior, Medusa's lair. Night. Medusa, Euryale, and Steifon are sleeping. Strange noise comes from a dark corner. Medusa wakes up and turns to face them.
You're muted, Ty.
Hello, Perseus.
He stays in the shadow and cowers behind the sheet.
Medusa the Gorgon. I saw those people of stone while I was coming here. You did that, didn't you?
Fate did that. I am merely her weapon.
What a miserable existence.
If you've come to put me out of this miserable existence, haven't you?
He looks around and steps slowly out of the shadows. She, however, continues to cling to him.
If you know that, then why am I still alive?
I am a weapon of fate, but I am also subject to it.
Medusa circles Perseus slowly.
You can always change your fate. You have free will, same as any man. That's why I'm here.
Are you sure that's why you're here?
Medusa makes a sudden move behind a large stone, and Perseus startles into a fighting position.
I am here to save my mother from marrying a terrible man. If this is the deed which he commands, then it shall be.
It seems that the fate has finally graced me with a noble hero. What a cruel joke.
I would hardly say that.
She steps from behind the stone and inches toward the light where Perseus stands.
Come. Let me look into the eyes of my brave murderer.
As she approaches, Perseus holds his shield higher.
Why do you turn away from me?
I must do this for her. She deserves better.
But would you grace me with but one look?
I know the tricks you pull.
Medusa's snake strikes suddenly, and Perseus counters. They fight passionately, Medusa constantly trying to look into his eyes, and Perseus turning away at the last moment. Finally, though, Perseus overpowers him. In one fatal swing, he chops off her head and holds it proudly in front of him. Piercing screams ring through the air as Steifon and Euryale wake up to a man holding the head of their sister.
What have you done?
You can't even begin to
No one
comprehend
dares
the world
touch our
of pain
sister.
you have brought upon yourself.
Perseus stands in the same position.
Your sister was a horror, and so are the two of you.
Easy for you to say, pawn.
He lowers the head and shrugs casually.
So what? Good riddance.
Why, you little.
Calm yourself. He does not understand his actions.
What is there to understand?
The nature of power, boy.
Perseus gestures all around him.
She is a murderer. Look at all of the statues. Those were once people. People you three have killed, and you two are just as guilty as she. I should put an end to you two as well.
Uriali listens to a speech calmly. The looks
Put an end to us. I'm sorry. Put an end to us, Pawn. But first, listen.
Of course.
He puts down Medusa's head and sits down across.
Do you have something to clean my helmet before I return it to Athena? There was a bit of splatter as I was beheading your sister.
Men are all the same. They come into our lives and think they know everything, but they are nothing. Idiots manipulated by those more powerful.
Athena, you say?
Yes, she helped me tell you three horrors apart and outfitted me with the necessary tools.
Yeah, of course she did.
Are you speaking against the gods?
Damn right she is.
They give us everything.
Yes, but they also take everything away.
Maybe for Gorgons who deserve it.
Why are you trying to reason with this boy? He is clearly just like them. He was spun into their web, and we can't alter that without destroying him.
Go ahead, destroy me then. I'm only doing this for my mother, and I can't waste time listening to you bitches.
If you insist. But please, listen. You might find you learned something.
Something that I don't already know? Try me.
Uriali leans in close.
Did you know that we weren't always like this?
No one can be born that ugly.
Besides you.
Uriali glares at Steifon.
Medusa was once the most beautiful woman in all of Athens. She was a maiden at Athens temple, and we spent our days there socializing a little too much.
She creates a plume of smoke above their heads, and a scene begins to play. Flashback. Exterior, Greek city, day. Medusa, now beautiful, long flowing hair, sits with sailors surrounding.
You're muted, Ty.
Come closer and tell me more about your tales.
The sailor sitting closest to her moves in a little as the others watch and envy.
Well, next, there was a serpent that slithered towards us, and the serpent saw us in the water.
How did you fight it off?
A sailor standing just behind her chimes in.
Well, I picked up one of the oars and swung at it.
Medusa reaches behind her and lays a hand on his arm.
With those big, strong arms of yours, it probably fell dead right there.
But he missed.
Her attention is pulled back to the man sitting next to her.
The serpent sank its fangs into the oar and snapped it.
Oh, my. Then what happened?
Well,
Poseidon, disguised as a handsome human man, enters and moves the others to sit beside Medusa. The other sailors watch in stunned awe. He only has eyes for Medusa.
Then I pulled them onto shore, away from the serpent.
Medusa smiles softly, with all of her attention focused on him.
Oh? How did you manage that? I thought the shore was miles out.
Well, you see, I heard the serpent.
The serpent slithered onto their ship and destroyed it. Do you pay attention to the stories you try to introduce yourself into, or do you expect women to be ignorantly impressed?
The men laugh. Medusa giggles, blowing him.
Well, my sailor boys, I must go.
you won't be too long, will you, Medusa? We're setting sail soon and would love to talk to you again.
She stands to leave, and the men all seem to cheat.
I must get ready for the temple duty tonight. You know I can't in the presence of our goddess.
She turns to leave, and one of the men grab her hand.
Well, if we come to a temple, will you tell us all about Athena?
Medusa hesitates. She looks them all over carefully.
Would you really be interested in the gray-eyed one?
Yes. It doesn't matter that you're hers. We just love hearing you talk. You're so beautiful and intelligent.
Even though I'll let you three do most of the talking?
She turns away playfully again to leave.
This time will be different. We want to hear you speak about your passions.
Medusa hesitates, but nods.
All right, we will talk. I still have to perform my duties, so don't get in my way.
They agree to her terms and leave. Poseidon stays behind, and she waits until the others are gone.
May I help you? I'm sure you heard about how close you were, but I'm busy.
May I visit you later tonight, too?
Why, so I can embarrass you again?
She starts to walk off, but he jogs to her and matches her stride.
I would love to get to know any woman who can embarrass me so easily.
What, like it's hard?
I am kind of clumsy in my speech.
You can say that again. Oh, wait, be careful. You don't want to stumble.
They turn a corner into a tight alleyway, and he puts out an arm to stop.
You are a cruel one, aren't you? Tell me, Medusa. That is your name.
Yes?
Medusa. And what a beautiful name it is.
I don't even know yours.
What made you devote yourself to Athena, of all people?
You still haven't told me your name.
She leans back against the wall.
I don't matter. I am no one, but answer my question. There are so many gods. How could you ever devote yourself to one in particular?
They share a silent moment while she considers.
Each god has their own place. But Athena, she is everything I admire in a woman. It makes it easy to devote myself because she's everything I want to be.
I see goddess enough in you without her.
They lean in slightly, but Medusa pulls away at sudden realization. She distances herself from him, backing out of the inn.
I have to go. This is inappropriate. I have devoted to Athena and I can't do this.
Do what?
Medusa gestures at him vaguely.
This.
She goes to turn away, and he pulls her back by her wrist.
Wait, Medusa, please.
Medusa turns around and falls into it.
I have things to prepare for the temple.
Will I see you again?
Yes, of course, but I really must go.
Medusa turns the corner and vanishes. Poseidon steps out of the alley and looks in the direction she led.
She has no idea who I am. Damn Athena for corrupting that beautiful woman's mind. Tonight I will tell her, and I will make her my queen.
Back to scene. Interior. Medusa's lair. Out. Perseus looks down at Uriel.
Why would a goddess she devoted herself to make her into that? It doesn't make sense. And I am not buying it. There's something missing.
Shut up. Watch and listen before you make assumptions.
All will be revealed soon. Patience.
Watch. This is where I come in.
Listen.
Back to Flash. Exterior Athena's temple. Day. Medusa prepares for her temple duties as Euryale and Steifon, both young and beautiful, enter.
So, spill the tea.
What is there to tell?
Who was that handsome stranger?
The new one in town? I'm not sure, but he really embarrassed himself, though.
Who cares? He looks like a god.
To help Medusa with prepping for her temple.
I bet he kisses like a god, too.
I don't know. Some gods have a little too much experience for my taste.
Experience is next to mastery, sis.
I wouldn't know.
I'll take one for the team.
Uriel, isn't there such thing as too much experience for a woman?
Speak for yourself, but I found that a man likes a woman who can guide them.
I think men just like the idea of a woman. That's why they always go after things they can't have.
Fino perches on a low wall.
You could have any man you wanted if you would break your vow to Athena.
No man is worth that much.
Not even for a day?
You know it doesn't work like that. A betrayal is a betrayal, willing or not. It's just the gray-eyed one's way.
Sounds like a selfish way to me. You can't even enjoy the simple pleasures of life.
If I wanted those pleasures, I would serve Aphrodite.
Oh, she would hate you.
Why?
You're way too pretty.
Medusa shakes her head and goes towards the exit as they like.
I don't have time for you two and your shenanigans. Be careful. Don't get in too much trouble, okay?
They promise, and Medusa leaves the room, still shaking her head. Interior, Athena's temple. Day. Athena stands as a statue at the altar, while Medusa weaves around, going from task to task. Back to scene. Interior, Medusa's lake. Night. Perseus watches Medusa, transfixed.
She was beautiful, wasn't she? Devoted, strong, intelligent. I can see why so many men went after her.
Wasn't she? She was such a wonderful sister.
Always calming us down when we got too excited, usually over boys.
But she wasn't concerned about her own pleasures. She was devoted to everyone but herself. Much like a goddess should be. Not saying that this justifies her actions. I'm sure we will see her become evil soon.
Someone doesn't just become evil, Perseus.
When will you understand?
It is so much more than what you were told.
She was only ever ugly when she was forced to be.
Perseus reaches up to touch her, but she weaves around his hand and goes right through.
Who would ever choose such a fate when they are this stunning? I feel if I met her like this, then I would have been like those other sailors. But how disrespectful. Maybe I haven't given women enough credit for everything they have to deal with.
In the clouds, we see Poseidon enter. Return to flash. Interior, Athena's temple. Day. Medusa looks up at him and stands.
Medusa.
He seems happy to see him before remembering where she is.
What are you doing here?
What am I doing here? I told you I was coming.
I didn't expect that you would really come.
Why not?
Well, no one ever does.
He has made his way across the room and is within arm's reach of her, but she keeps a guarded check on his movements.
The sailors don't? They seemed very interested in you before.
Medusa takes a step back.
Well, they aren't. Not actually.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I guess seeing me here makes them realize that they can't have me. Outside of here, they could have some hope, but here, they know that I belong to the gray-eyed one and her only.
Well, that's their loss then.
He moves a little closer. She turns to her previous work.
Loss?
Poseidon comes and sits beside her. He touches her cheek.
They don't know you. This is as much a part of you as your eyes, your lips, your hair.
He leans in and tries to kiss her, but Medusa pulls away.
You know I can't.
But you want to.
It doesn't matter if I want to or not. I'm not going to.
She puts distance between them.
Why would a goddess you love and who loves you deny you the simple pleasures of life?
You sound like my sisters.
Your sisters sound wise.
No, I love them, but they are not wise at all.
She is turned and is looking at the feet of Athena.
They don't devote themselves to anything in life, besides vanity, of course. There they could probably rival Narcissus.
Do you think that is the only way worth living, with devotion?
He stands and slowly approaches her.
Yes. Devotion is the driving force of life. If you're not devoted to others, you are vain. If you're not devoted to the right cause, then you are a fool. If you are devoted to an idea, then you are simply a dreamer. Or if you're devoted to a god, much like the god, your power is unlimited.
Poseidon is just behind her.
Even the gods have their limits, Medusa.
Perhaps, but the idea of a god is undying and limitless.
How so?
Take wisdom, for instance.
She pauses.
Actually, take the sea. We know that the sea is not endless. At our short it ends, and at another, it may begin. but no one will know what point stops and starts. But that water seeps into the ground and gives life to Persephone's flowers. That same water flows into the clouds, and as it cries down, Zeus's power roars true. The same water that then goes down and it see ourselves in the same way that we are connected to our fate in the underworld. All of us are connected in fate and must play our part in the thread that weaves us all together, and together we can make a beautiful tapestry one day. We accept our parts. No God is all-powerful, but God's influence is part of everything. It may seem foolish to you to give up something basic such as arrows, but I am happy leaving my part of the tapestry here in Athena's temple.
It's quiet.
Wow.
Wow, what?
Wow, you.
You think it's stupid? Oh, you're just like...
No, I understand. It is truly is a shame that those men don't see you like this.
Why is that?
This side is perhaps the most beautiful side of you, and that is saying something.
He kisses her neck and she falls into it, relaxing into his arms.
I never learned your name.
Poseidon.
Poseidon.
Her eyes widen as she realizes what she has said, but he kisses her. She pulls away.
Hold on 1 second. I'm going to stop us here. For anybody watching, this is where your trigger warning is going to be coming in. So if that applies to you, that you're sensitive to depictions of sexual assault or rape, just tune out now. You can come back in about 5 minutes and it'll be a little better for you, but tune out now if that's something that you have an issue with. All right, continue, guys.
Poseidon.
Yes.
That's not possible. Who would name their child after one of the gods?
He's still frozen.
I am not named after one of the gods, my darling. I am one.
Medusa scrambles to her feet and tries to put distance between them, but Poseidon follows her like a predator stalking prey.
No, that isn't possible. How could you walk among us?
He continues to advance faster than she can retreat.
I'm sure you've heard tale of it before.
Yes, but
Why can't I do the same? My influence is limitless, as you said, and my desire even more still.
You are just trying to sleep with me. Men always claim they are a god. Doesn't mean it will work for you.
You would deny a god!
He is backed into a corner now.
A god would not come into another god's temple.
Even to visit the woman he has chosen as his bride.
Bride? What?
Devoted to a god. But it is not too late to change which one. You are inspiring, Medusa. You are radiant and beautiful. You are intelligent and thoughtful. Everything a goddess should be.
You can't grant someone godhood. That isn't how it works, is it?
Sure it is.
Get out.
And feisty. I've always liked that attitude about you. Order me around again.
Medusa slaps him hard.
I have offered you everything, and here you are, you ungrateful bitch!
Poseidon grabs her hand and changes into his godly form. She watches in horror and frees her hand. She runs to the feet of Athena for help. But when none comes, he advances upon her. She tries to fight, but is easily overpowered, and he drags her behind the altar. Her screams pierce the air as he rapes her. Poseidon walks around the altar and leaves the temple. Back to scene. Interior, Medusa's lair. Night. Perseus watches in horror. He looks at Euryalus.
Now Athena helps her, right? She has to. It wasn't Medusa's fault. She didn't want it.
Rules are rules.
Steifon is looking at him.
I don't understand. Athena would never...
Number what?
Turn to Interior, Athena's temple. Day. Medusa crawls out from behind the altar, bloody and beaten. She makes her way to the water at the feet of Athena to bathe herself. She breaks down in sobs and curls up at Athena's feet. Athena comes to life and kicks her hard in the face, sending her across the floor. Medusa looks up stunned at her goddess.
How dare you defile my temple?
I didn't mean to.
You allowed him to take you.
Please, oh, gray-eyed one, have mercy on me. Your temple is a sacred place, and I would...
Athena slaps Medusa, and she falls back to the ground.
If it was truly sacred to you, then you would not have invited him. You would not let a male seduce you in my temple. You would have killed yourself before you let that happen in my presence. Does your vow mean nothing to you?
It was not to go any further.
Your words mean nothing.
Medusa struggles to her feet as Athena closes the distance between them.
I never thought he would come.
I saw the way you were talking to him. My presence is always here in this temple.
Medusa stops, backing up.
Always here. So you let this happen?
Yes.
Medusa searches Athena's face.
Why? Why, Athena? How could you watch him take my chastity that I vowed to keep for you, for your sake?
You allowed it to be taken. You would not go to the law and say that someone murdered your family if you left the door unlocked.
Murder is still murder. If I had known this was going to happen, I would have never even looked at him.
That's what you should have done. You know your vow, and you know you can't do anything, can do nothing, yet you teased
you can
him.
start over on that line if you want.
Yes. That's what you should have done. You know your vow, and you know you can do nothing, yet you teased him. You should have known this was going to happen.
How would I have known?
Athena closes the remaining distance between them.
I did not select a fool to serve me.
I would rather be a fool than serve you if this is how you treat the innocent.
You are going to regret that.
What more will you take from me that you haven't already taken?
The thing that first caused your downfall, your beauty.
Do it, bitch. My devotion to you defined me for years. Now you betray my trust and blame me for the act of violence that was committed against me. You were here. You could have protected me from it, yet you watch like the sick, sadistic woman you are. You're not wise. We're just pawns in this game between gods and men. If I don't benefit you, then you don't give a damn about me. You're not powerful enough to do the right thing, so you submit to the will of the sea god. Sure, it would have been easier to submit, but then I would not be able to stand before you right now.
Medusa stands her ground.
Take my beauty away. Make me so hideous that it turns foul people to stone. At least I will be rid of them, and I will also be rid of you. Aphrodite granted me the gift of beauty in the first place, too. Did she not? Now you will be the second entitled god tonight to take something that does not belong to them. If you ask me, a goddess like that is not worthy of worship.
I don't recall asking you.
Athena lifts both hands and flicks her wrists. It sends Medusa flying across the temple into the wall. Shadows of snakes appear behind Athena as she speaks.
Medusa, tonight you have not only defiled my temple, but you have also broken your vow. You have not only disrespected one god, but two. For your crimes, I will take away your issue. Your beauty will be no more, and when you look into a man's eyes, he will turn to stone from your very glance. Cast away from society, you will live the rest of your days alone. Besides your sisters, of course.
Athena flicks her wrist once more, and Euryale and Steifon appear in the temple, shackled. She flicks her wrists again, and they are thrown against the same wall as their sister.
As I am a merciful goddess, you will have them as company, but they will also join in your punishment.
All three stand and now appear as they do in the present day.
Now, get out of my sight.
Smoke fills the room, which transforms into the lake. Return to planetary. Interior, Medusa's lake. Night. The smoke clears. Perseus picks up Medusa's head and looks at her.
And I played right into the game. I believed every word Athena said to me.
The gods are cruel.
Euryale is looking at her sister. She says this.
But you are not them.
Women sit on either side of him and tilt their heads so that their necks are exposed to follow in their sister's footsteps.
3 heads are, after all, better than 1.
Perseus chops both of their heads off, and they crumble. He puts all 3 into a bag. Interior temple. Day. Gods line the back of the temple with Poseidon and Athena next to each other. Polydectes prays at the altar. Perseus walks in and throws the bags with the heads at him.
Surprise! I'm alive.
Good, good. I see you brought back not 1, but 3.
Yeah.
Was it that easy?
Perseus looks up at Poseidon and Athena.
I played right into it.
Polydectes looks from him to the statues, clearly not sure what he is referring to.
Well, my new bride will love to add it to our collection. Your mother is waiting for you at home. Don't keep her up. She's been worried sick.
Yeah.
Polydectes exits, leaving the bag of heads. Perseus glares up at the statues, heads in between them lying on the altar.
I thought all gods were reasonable and humane. But maybe they are too human after all. Medusa didn't deserve that. Yet I did this to her. I sealed her fate even though her fate was misplaced. I really am nothing but a pawn to you gods. You two stand beside each other as if nothing happened, as if you didn't ruin that woman's life. Look at what you made me do.
They stand quietly, still natural.
It's easy to say that the gods made me do this, but I was the one who chopped off Medusa's head. I was the one that didn't think for myself, the one that was so self-consumed that the one that never listened. Take your cursed sword, your shield, everything back, Athena.
Perseus throws the items at her.
Look at me, yelling at a statue.
Perseus falls to his knees at the altar and lifts Medusa's head from the bag. He turns it over and looks into her eyes, then turns to stone. Danae walks in and notices her son. She runs to him and falls to her knees, clutching him. Polydectes close behind her and offers his hand. She reluctantly takes it. Interior, under. Persephone and Hades are looking at Medusa standing in front of them with a blank expression.
Hades, this woman's memories are...
I know. I see them.
What are we going to do? She had to make her heart stone just deal with all of this. We can't let her death go without justice. And the boy was so scared of being wrong for once in his life that he killed himself.
I can't do anything about Zeus's conflict. I expected so much more out of my brother, Poseidon. But this, the rape of Medusa, him using his godhood to take what he wants. This is unacceptable. Poseidon will pay. Fade.
Oh, man.
I want to say to everybody out there, just a real quick disclaimer. I helped Lynn turn this into a screenplay, so all of the typos are totally me. In their original script, there were not those typos. That was completely me. So we're on the first revision of this screenplay, but I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that she did not. That was me. You guys, but everyone, you guys were awesome. If you're in the comment section or watching live with us, let us know if you have any questions for Lynn about the story or for any of our actors. But other than that, we're gonna start talking about it. Yeah, Java, I'll hand it over to you.
Oh man, that was dope. I really enjoyed it. It got Definitely it got dark, but I guess that is very Greek mythology style play. So I guess I'll start from what inspired you to do this story in particular?
So I was thinking about mythology and some stories that haven't really been told fully. We've heard the Perseus side of this so many times in so many different versions, but we've never really heard this from the other perspective, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this amazing statue of Medusa, and she I'm sure everyone's familiar with the statue of Perseus holding Medusa's head, and like he's holding it like super proudly and all that sort of stuff. But this statue of Medusa, she's just holding his head out to the side, you know, and it's just there, you know. And that I saw that online, and that was like inspiring to me. And I saw a few like Reddit posts about like Athena and about a different perspective that way. I actually didn't end up going that route. The specific post I'm referring to is actually talking about how it's like it was sort of a mercy thing that Athena did, but I didn't go that way, obviously. But ultimately, I was thinking about that. And I was also taking an independent study with Ms. Orlovsky at Troy University in the creative writing department. And we were going to adapt a piece of literature for stage because that's sort of what I want to do. And we were going to apply that knowledge. And then I came across these posts online and I was just thinking about it. And then I was like, you know what? That's going to be my project. That's going to be my thing. So
Nice.
That's great. I really love the way you talk about kind of I think you just got really deep into like the female's journey. You know, the statistics of women that are assaulted and raped are incredibly high. I'm sure everyone's very aware of that now, but yeah, I think you really got into that headspace and you really showed it from kind of all the angles about, you know, what victim blaming looks like, what it looks like to be told, you know, like you shouldn't have put yourself there, you shouldn't have worn that, you shouldn't have, and how that all works. And even you know, we try to tout, and I believe this, you know, like women should support women, other women aren't your enemies, but I like that you kind of showed the other side of that because it's definitely still there of other women kind of blaming a little bit and not understanding it. So I really like what you did with that.
In an ideal world, I would love for all women to be on the side and fighting for other women. And that would be really awesome, but that is unfortunately not our reality. You see all sorts of women and other genders excluded. You see trans women excluded every day. You see non-binary people excluded. You see a lot of people excluded from this sort of conversation. And something that's going to actually be addressed in the full-length version is when we're speaking of sexual assault, it's, for a lot of men, it's a really shameful thing to come out about. And that's actually going to be addressed in the full-length version of this play. Or screenplay and play, technically. But that's also going to be addressed because there's so many men that they just never report it because they think that it's less masculine. That it, you know, like this shouldn't have happened to me, sort of thing. Because I'm supposed to be a man and I'm supposed to be strong and all this sort of stuff. And it feeds into that toxic masculinity. And that's definitely something that's going to be addressed in the full length.
We're going to keep working with Lynn on this and hopefully help them with the full length version at some point, just kind of working through it. And obviously, if they ever decide they want to do it, we're there. So you guys, if you're watching and you loved that, keep staying with us for updates on it. Something we talked about before we started that I kind of want to highlight is that scene with Hermes and Poseidon. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I loved everything you had to say about it beforehand, and so.
Yeah. So let me scroll to it just so I have it.
I will scroll to it too. What page are you set on?
So this is also going to be expanded on in the full-length version. At first, Hermes was not actually non-binary. At first, Hermes was, the normal depiction that you see of Hermes in Greek mythology. But then I thought it would be really interesting, looking especially at the Marxist perspective that I was sort of looking at, to include the fact that Hermes is both outside of the Greek gods because, obviously they're traveling from place to place all the time. And there's also another outside kind of quality to my Hermes in that they're non-binary. And so that sort of was my train of thought going into this. And there's also the sad fact that because they are excluded, they also have to be driven by money and this capitalistic notion of society. And so while they're not confined by gender norms, they're sort of confined by something else in society. As a way to make sure things keep going, And so really, Hermes is in a position where they can't be their true selves and everything. And, but that's sort of where I was thinking when I added this scene. At first, it wasn't a part of it. But later on, I did end up adding it just because I got a little bit of feedback, and I just decided that I needed to do what I wanted because it's my piece. And that's okay too, So actually, whenever it's the full-length version, whenever there's the full-length version of this play, I actually want to have this little journey, this little life-changing field trip, you might say. That's an amateur reference. Anyway, this little life-changing field trip with Hermes that Perseus goes on. And Perseus sort of learns more about gender and learns more about how the gods work and the unfortunate realities of that. And it's just really, it's going to be really fun, because it's going to be a treasure hunt for these items.
I'm excited to read about that. And so Gabby Reeves, if you're still watching, said that she has a question for Lynn. Gabby,
yes.
Feel free to throw it in the comments, and I will give it to her as soon as you do. Other comments we have, Bonnie Dean said that it was really understandable, and they're very proud of you. And Reed Clevenger said it was excellent. Scotty is watching, and he really enjoyed it. So everybody, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm also gonna, until we get the question from Gabby, I'm gonna ask you another question that I know people are probably just like a little thrown off by, but and you and I have talked about this. Do you want to speak to why you call it a Marxist retelling?
So a lot of people hear Marxist and they think communist. And that's not actually the case. Marxism, whenever we're speaking about Marxism in literary theory, what we're really talking about is we're talking about examining classes, and re-examining capitalistic society and how, things are driven by making money and stuff like that. And then examining, in this play specifically, examining the class between the gods and examining the class between the mortals. And even between the mortals, there are individual classes within that system. But really, this play is about the gods, who are the players, and the mortals, who are the pieces. And so that's sort of where that comes from. And so it's really an examination. You can draw all sorts of conclusions if you would like.
Gabby says that they don't remember the dialogue between Persephone and Hades at the end. Is that new? And if it is, what inspired it?
So that is definitely new, and that is inspired by Hades Town. That was actually in the one-act version that I was going to have at Emerging Voices at Troy University. And yeah, but I added that near the beginning of that process there. And that's another thing that will be expanded upon in the full length, because Poseidon's going to have to face the consequences of his actions. Athena's going to have to face the consequences of her actions.
Big thing with Hades.
I'm not spoiling the big thing with Hades. There is a big thing with Hades. There's a huge thing with Hades and Persephone, but more so with Hades. But anyway, and then Perseus is also going to have to face the consequences, because, I mean, while he's mortal, he also followed the gods blindly. And there's really no excuse for that whenever you have control of your own actions.
Did he not? He turned himself to stone.
That's not a consequence.
Oh, man.
He turned himself to stone more so out of guilt. That was more of a way to escape, in my opinion.
And you can't really escape when the underworld's a thing.
Yeah, you can't really escape that. But it was a way of Perseus trying to escape his issue and what he did rather than actually addressing it. So that's sort of where that is coming from. But I'd love to hear your take on it if you have a different take on it, Java, since you read for Perseus.
Well, I think he rocks, so there's that. But no, like, I don't know, like, in all, he just seemed like a person of that, a very typical person of that time period, or of that mythology. Just, I can't even say he's really that honorable. He wanted to defend his mom. Sure, that was a good thing he wanted to do. But I think even he admitted, like, I would have been just like the sailors had I met her. So he's a very neutral individual for me. Like, he could be good or bad based on whatever he has to do at any given moment. But the fact that he did feel something, I thought was him trying to atone for what he did. I do find it interesting and makes more of a journey that it is used as more of an escape.
Yeah. And it can definitely be read both ways. I would leave that up to the actor who portrays Perseus, but that's going to be something that is looked at in the full length. And I'm sort of going to be talking maybe to you and obviously to Martavius, and he actually was playing Perseus in Emerging Voices this semester. And so that's something that I'm, going to have to, like, talk to both of you about to see, like, okay, how did both of you interpret that? Because while I am the writer, I do not, this is something I will say, like, all the time about writing. I will be the last person to understand my work. And the reason I say that is because I don't know all of the, like, obviously I know my process of writing, but I don't know all of the subtle things that went on in my psyche that were sort of portrayed in my writing without even me realizing it. I sort of subscribe to that subconscious theory. And so, yeah, I will be the last person to understand Heart of Stone, and I am completely okay with that. Anyway, you had a thing?
One of the themes that I've noticed throughout the writing process of this with Perseus, a lot of people think that, well, because I was doing it for a good reason, it's okay. We've all heard the phrase, the road to hell, or in this case, the road to Hades, is paved with good intentions. You can do a noble thing, or what you think is a noble thing, for the noblest of reasons, but someone is getting hurt for it. Someone is going to face the consequences of everything you do, no matter who benefits from on your end. You are taking from someone else. And if you examine it a little further, you could say that that's an examination of capitalism. No matter how much you succeed, you are stepping on someone.
But Perseus never succeeds because, I mean,
well, no,
he succeeds in his goal in killing Medusa, but then ultimately what happens to his mother? His mother still has to go with Polydectes because Perseus was trying to escape what he was dealing with. And then it left his mother in a consequence where, well, in this time, she had to rely on someone.
And I like that, as well as, like, maybe, as Michael was saying, a commentary about capitalism, of just, like, you know, even if you think you're doing all the things right, at the end of the day, like, unless you're a billionaire, you are, or in government, pretty much, you are still going to be a pawn. And you are still going to face, maybe the consequences that they should have faced will be handed down to you. But, like, you're not going to win because you're screwing over, you know, like, if you own a restaurant and you're treating your employees terribly and you make more money, you still, you know, if you're a manager, you still, they're going to fire you if you ever misstep. Even though you treated all these employees terrible and you should have been on their good side, they don't care. You're still a pawn. You're not important to them. They convince you that you're important to them, just like right now, you know, with people on unemployment and other people being angry at those people. Those are not the enemies. The enemies are the people convincing you that other workers are your enemies. Because they don't care about you.
As a worker, always making sure you never take your sick days, and you're always there a little bit early and doing all these things that, you know, the company is going to like you. The company is they're going to respect the fact that I respect them so much, and it's going to pay off for me in the end. And the company has no idea who you are. You aren't that important to the big machine.
I've worked in 3 restaurants for the same 2 men in Nashville, and I've served them countless times and had many conversations with them, and they don't know me. And that's what I kind of got from this, is like, that's a commentary on capitalism, that he still faced consequences that they never will. These gods are never going to face the consequences from what they did, but you trying to help them you're going to face those consequences, and things are still going to go bad for you. Real quick, Gabby was wondering, do we get to see a court trial on Mount Olympus?
So, you turn around. They've talked to you too much about this.
I'm excited.
So, not an American system court style, but more of a Grecian system, but sort of, kind of, not really. It's a little bit weird. I wouldn't put it in a court trial in those terms because of our specific American system, but similar.
They will be put on blast.
Sweet.
Yes.
We actually have a question for Brianna. Gabby was wondering how you feel about Uriel. Am I saying her name right?
Urieli?
Yeah. They're wondering, they also have gotten to read for her, and they really loved her, so they were wondering how you feel about her as a character.
How I felt about her. Well, when Lynn was letting me know that she was a bit more playful, I can admit I was struggling a bit to kind of add that into the role, especially because, you know, she just walked in and saw her sister beheaded. So trying to add that into that and, you know, be in that moment was a little challenging for me. I felt that, let me see, how did I feel about her? I feel that she's not as, compared to her sister, I feel like she's not as stern, if that makes sense. I actually like the character, honestly.
Do you connect with her? She wanted to know. Like, do you really feel like a connection?
I do feel like a connection because like I said, she isn't as stern, and I'm not really a very stern person. So as far as her, being a little playful and saying, listen, if you just take a moment to just listen, you might actually learn something, So I was able to connect with her in a way. And I was glad I had the opportunity to read for her.
And Bonnie Dean wants to know, besides this, like, are there other pieces of mythology? Which, I mean, yes, there are, but I'm sure Lynn can speak a lot more to their favorite pieces.
So, what was the question again?
They had asked if there were other pieces of mythology, of like Greek mythology. Yeah.
That I wanted to write about, or that I just liked?
I think they just asking in general, if you like.
I mean, I really enjoy a lot of Greek mythology. I really love the story of Cassandra. That one is that's a little known story, but basically Cassandra, this was Trojan War, and she was given a gift to where she could predict things. And she had basically a gift of foresight, right? And then she was given this gift, and Apollo gave her this gift. And Apollo said, all right, now we're going to have sex. And then she said, what? No, thank you. And Apollo was like, all right, we're going to have sex. And then that happened. And then while she was asleep, he had snakes come and curse her, whisper things in her ear. And so then it turned into something where she could foresee the future and everything. However, everyone thought that she was lying. No one would believe her. And it was all because she rejected Apollo. And then she goes and she warns the Trojan, she warns
King Priam.
King Priam, that, the Trojan horse has
Greeks in it.
Like,
beware Greeks bearing gifts.
Yeah. And nobody believed her, and then we know what happened there.
It seems like to me a lot of Greek mythology is a lot of entitled gods taking things from women and then kind of ruining their lives. And you would think those stories have been around for longer than America, certainly, and longer than most of what we know as civilization right now. You would think that we would be a little more partial to believe women by now, right? Because I relate to, I feel like I can connect, and I'm sure a lot of you can as well, can relate to the fact of just like of these stories a little bit. I think that each of us would probably have one of these stories that we could parallel with, of just having someone, often a man, not believe something or not listen to us or feel entitled to something from us, whether that be like with the story of Medusa where it's sexual or even just, I guess, our voice in a way to kind of quiet us. And so I think these stories can really I think it's timely to write these stories and to talk about these stories again right now. I'm glad you're doing it, really, Lynn. I'm so thankful that you're doing it and bringing attention to this stuff and bringing attention to the idea of talking about capitalism and talking about gender identity. Those are things that we want to keep talking about with 321. And we're so glad to have people like you to kind of make sure we do.
Yeah, and I just also, this is like a bigger project of mine, but I really want to reclaim some myths, because you look at mythology and it changed so much through so many years, and now look at how ancient these stories seem. And I think it's high time to reclaim some of these stories. And this is going to be the first attempt of many to reclaim some stories and talk about some of those issues we're talking about.
Yeah, and like I've always said to you, I'm always down to help you with that. Like, it's right up our alley. So Java, do you have something you have something?
Oh, I was gonna say, I know me and Bree got to talk about our parts a bit. I was gonna let Ty see if she had something she wanted to add about her character and her experience playing the character.
Oh. I was really excited when I heard I was reading Medusa because I grew up reading a lot of like Greek myths just because I was always just really interested in it, and it was nice to like read something with where Medusa wasn't just the absolute villain. I really just enjoyed the way this whole play was written. It was very well written.
And I really enjoyed the way you read it also. You just portrayed Medusa as a very thoughtful character. And you did a great, everybody did a great job, but I just wanted to let you know that you did a fantastic job.
Yeah, Ty's a reoccurring actor with us. I don't know if reoccurring is the right word, but Ty is reoccurring. She's a regular, so you guys will be seeing a lot more of them. We appreciate you. Yeah, you did great. Do you have anything else to say about just like your experience reading this or how you felt about the story as a whole?
Everybody's just awesome. Everybody's great. Everybody's talented. I always enjoy reading scripts, and I'm glad that I've kind of jumped on this ship of reading scripts with you guys every so often because I always just love reading new material.
Super dope. We're happy to have you for sure.
Steifon, we haven't heard a lot from you. You have anything you want to talk about? I know you.
Oh, you guys are brilliantly covering everything. I've just enjoyed listening to you. I would say just for my part, I'm a big fan of Greek mythology. The Medusa story has always been a fun one. I've seen it portrayed numerous times in film and in literature and whatnot. I think one of the more interesting moments that nobody really touched on, and it was a little thing, when Perseus meets Medusa for the first time, or meets her sisters after he's beheaded her, and he's trying to explain, he's like, she was a monster. Look at all these stoned people. They're dead because she murdered them and you murdered them. And I'm like, Perseus, you're kind of missing the point. They weren't roaming the countryside looking for victims. All these people showed up to kill them and they were defending themselves. Those people would never have been turned to stone if they hadn't shown up there to kill them. So that always made Medusa an interesting character to me. But I think the reason that she's always captured my imagination, and I have to applaud Lynn for a beautiful story. I think it's a job well done. It's the idea that Medusa was punished for something that she literally had no control over. And it really echoes even into contemporary society. If you look, we read a lot about things in other countries and other places, like, in countries in Africa, in the Middle East, in India, all of these different countries and on different continents where women suffer these indignities and these injustices, and there's no justice for them. And then we here in the West, we feel like we are so much superior. And the fact is we're not. We just are not. And coming from the Greek, I'm like, okay, you do realize all of Western civilization, all of Western thought is literally built on this. All of it, everything that you think, how you think, is given to you, it's filtered up to you from the fact that you were born into a society that's built on Greek thought and Greek reasoning. And the idea that a woman is somehow at fault in this way, it goes all the way back to here, the ancient world. And one of the more beautiful stories, I think, as tragic and horrific as it was, also come from the Greek, the story of Medea. And the idea that hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, that's where we get that from. That this woman, who was, by the way, to Jason and to the Greeks, she was foreign. She was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, she was from a place far east of Greece, and I can't remember exactly where, you have to forgive me, but she comes into this alien place, and she is rejected by Jason. And I know this isn't what we were talking about, but just bear with me. And she gets her just dessert. She gets revenge, not only on her husband, but on the family that would have taken her husband. She kills her children, kills them, not just to hurt her husband, although that was in there, but to spare them what she felt like was the indignity of growing up with this family that wasn't their family. But the best thing about the Medea story is she got away. She knew good and well that a woman in Greece who had been thrown away by her husband and left with 2 children was worthless. She was less than worthless. She didn't count for anything. So she got her revenge and then she escaped. Medea got away. And I always felt like, okay, that's kind of out of the norm. I mean, her story didn't end there. I mean, she went on with other things, but I mean, as tragic and as horrific as it was, given the backdrop of the mythology and the stories that she shares with, it's kind of almost beautiful, you know. But you know, this story really, I think Lynn has done a really good job of pointing that finger back at us. You know, pointing the finger back. Perseus, you know, like Michael pointed out, thinks that, you know, he's noble and he's doing the right thing, but that's all of us, isn't it? I mean, every villain is the hero of his own story. Isn't that how that goes? So you kind of like Perseus at the beginning because you're like, okay, I can totally dig where he's coming from. But then about midway through, you know, it's just like, you're kind of a jerk. You know, he really is kind of a jerk, but I think he learned something about himself. Perseus is all of us, I think. And he is a great tool for the audience to just sort of get the story filtered through.
And quick shout out. I remember, I don't know if Java and Steifon, you guys, and Ty actually, I forgot you went to UNA too. You guys might remember this, but a few years ago, UNA's theater group did Medea.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it was amazing. Real quick shout out to my really good friend Devin Hale, who killed that role. So yeah, that would be a good one too. I loved that one. That was a great show. But someone had a question in here. Gabby was wondering for Steifon and Ty, what was your process for reading that really difficult part of that piece that talked about the sexual assault and rape? Like, how did you guys handle having to read that? What was your process getting there for that? Also, temperature check. Is everyone still okay talking about this? Okay, cool.
Ty, go ahead, please.
Well, because I read it a few times before we actually had the rehearsal, and I really don't know how. I don't know how. I just, in my mind, I was just like, you just need to get through this scene. Because it was like a kind of like a scene. I was just like, okay, I have to prepare to read this out loud and get in a mindset to where I can read this. But I don't really know what my process was. I think I just was like, I just had to read it, and I had to think about how I was reading it and the tone of how I was saying what I was saying to make sure that I was telling the scene in a way that was effective. I don't know if I explained that right.
Yeah, I think sometimes scenes you just kind of got to push through, and real credit to your professionalism there of just really getting through that and doing it. I think doing it justice. Lynn, from what you had said, you seem like you think the same.
Yes, absolutely.
And Steifon, what about you? What was your process there?
Well, first of all, Lynn's direction, you know, was very clear. When, you know, what she wanted from Poseidon, from the sailor to the reveal. I also drew on just my understanding of Greek mythology, and like Zeus was raping people all over the place. Zeus, I mean, and even Poseidon even makes a note in the context of the moment where he asks her, like, don't you know? I mean, surely you know the tale. I can do it too. And he's actually referring to in that moment, he's like, we do this all the time. We're gods. You know, we come down here and we pretend to be other creatures and we rape you guys. That's what we do. That's what he's talking about in that moment. And he's like, and so he's asking, like, surely you know this. But I had to also figure out a way, at least I tried to anyway, to inject something human in there. And so the idea that men often think, again, the villain being the hero of his own story, thinking, I am this thing, I have this to offer, you as a woman should want this, you should want me. Men often don't feel like they're doing anything wrong in those moments. And that is one of the things that, as a middle-aged adult now, looking back on my years as a teenager, as a 20-something in college, and into parenting and fatherhood with, 2 daughters and a son, I have to really, really look honestly and examine, who I have been and the stories that I understand from like the people around me, the stories that I hear, and I take those in, and I realize it's like, these are pretty simple in their context. It's just like, you're not owed that, you can't take it, but also realizing it's like that person may not even realize that that's what they're doing, and they need to be made to understand that. They need to be made to face that. They need to be made to realize that you are taking something that was never owed to you, not ever, no matter how amazing you think it is.
And I want to kind of on that, Steifon, I totally agree with you, and I think that's a big where we're kind of at with our society, and that stories like this that are able, because stories shape our culture, and stories like what Len has written here, they help educate that a little bit, and that's kind of part of what has always been to me. Yes, women to say that, but also men to always call out other men and tell them, because sometimes that's the only way they hear it. And I know all 3 of you would agree with this, but for other men to call them out and help educate them on that. And I mean, taking what you want when it's not owed isn't just rape and sexual assault. It's you continuously pushing a woman at a bar to give you her number. It's you being mad that she doesn't want you, yelling at her on the street. All of those things are the same thing. So yeah, I don't know, Java, do you want to speak to that? We've just had a lot of conversations about this.
No. I mean, I don't think I have anything more to add to what y'all said, except for I agree. Even with the story of Perseus, just because even if you're not aware you're doing that bad thing, doesn't mean you shouldn't be held accountable. It's wrong. Respect the no. I don't know why that has to be said, but I guess it has to be said. Respect the no. You've got to recognize when you are just reading the room, you're making someone uncomfortable for sure, and that nothing is owed to you, whether you are a more of what you feel a more aggressive person, or if you're the quote unquote nice guy. Nothing's owed to you for being a decent person.
You don't get bonuses for doing exactly what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, so
you shouldn't expect praise for doing what people are meant to do.
And Lynn, as the writer, do you have anything to add to all of these kind of big takes on what you've done?
Yeah. Some people get really in their heads about reading plays and screenplays and all the books, all sorts of stuff. And they say that, oh yeah, the writer didn't mean to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm definitely here to tell you that the writer did mean to do X, Y, and Z. I definitely meant for all of these conversations to be had. And I'm really happy that we're able to talk about these things surrounding peace, and hopefully it will evoke even more conversation when the full length is written, because like you were talking about with men having to answer to other men, that's sort of what is foreshadowed at the very end of the play, Hades is going to make his brother answer for this, and it's not going to be pretty, and he realizes he can't do anything about Zeus, but Hades is trying to pick his battles, and
Zeus will come later.
Yeah, Zeus will come later.
I've seen God of War. I know how it ends.
I mean, I was very inspired by God of War, by the way.
That was Hades'
So-
plan all along. Make Kratos.
Make Kratos.
And to send himself there.
Well, I'm gonna post just for everybody watching. I'm gonna post this on Instagram as well. I'm gonna post the Q&A separately because it's pretty long, but it's important conversations that I don't want anybody to miss. And Instagram has an hour limit. So I'm gonna post them separately on Instagram too. But this stays up until the end of time. So everybody, if you are watching later and you have something you want to talk about, feel free to start this conversation back up. We'll be paying attention to the comments. And we'd love to have this conversation with you guys. This is what we want to do as a company, and as artists, and as just people in general. So we're gonna sign off here in about 5 minutes. Anybody? I just want to ask everyone else. Do you guys have anything to add, or?
Yeah, go ahead, Java.
Oh, I just want to do my dad talk thing. You got it.
Well, we'll save the dad talk.
Yeah.
It's an ending. It's a good ending. That's where it's a positive note. Anybody else?
I was gonna say that this is very, very timely, at least for me, because right now I just last night finished my full binge of all 3 seasons of The Handmaid's Tale, and I'm currently rereading the book. And I'm reminded constantly of my favorite Margaret Atwood quote that I'm gonna really paraphrase and butcher just a little bit for the interest of time. Margaret Atwood's, and this was a quote that I came across many years ago, and it was like cold water in the face, and it informs all of my relationships with women, from that day forward. And it was Margaret Atwood, basically said that men fear women because we're afraid you'll laugh at us. Women are afraid of men because you're afraid we'll kill you. And no concept quite drives the point home quite like that. It was so perfect. And I was like, and I pretty much told that to my son as I was sending him off to college. I'm like, this is what you need to keep in mind when you talk to people and how you behave. Be better. So I say that to men, be better.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And I wanted to throw in a couple of things. I know we've been talking about being gender inclusive and all that sort of stuff. And that's a very important thing for this piece. There are so many important aspects of this piece. But I wanted to throw that out there. And then I wanted to throw out a thanks to everybody who has read today. And I want to throw a big shout out to the cast of the original cast from Troy University. All of those people, they were so fantastic and have inspired me to write the full length and everything, and add parts and take away parts, make it more natural. And I just wanted to give a big shout out to the original cast and the original director, Madeline Hill. She was fantastic to work with. And then, of course, I want to thank 321 for wanting to put this up, and wanting to have this heard and have this read today. It really means a lot to me. And I'm definitely always really interested to hear different takes on characters, because every actor brings a different thing to the table. There are some things that I heard today that I haven't heard in the script before. And it's just been a really, really great experience. And then, of course, all the people who read at the original read-through at Troy University, in the Black Box Theater, when it was 15 people who were sitting in the audience. That was also great. The very, very first read through, I want to give a shout out to those people. But there's so many people that have been behind this play and believing in me, who have made it happen. And I thank everyone for their continuous support.
Yeah, and again, thank you. We really can't express it enough. Thank you so much for letting us help tell this story. And these are the kind of stories we love and we want to be a part of. And you guys are all so great. We're gonna tag all of the cast and Lynn, everyone. We're gonna tag them all on the Instagram, on the Facebook, whatever you're watching on. We're gonna be tagging everyone, so go check them out, see what they're all doing. They all got cool stuff going on. Just keep up with them too. stay with us for more updates about Mountain Tales Film Festival. Tickets will be available this week. Exciting. It's all virtual, but we're very excited, and we'll be doing table reads every single week leading up to it, and maybe after, because we love this so much. We're having such a great time with it. And there's so many stories. We don't have the time to tell all of them just before, so we gotta keep going. So yeah, tune in next week at 2 right here, and we'll be reading another one by another really good friend of 321, and we're excited about that one.
Mm-hmm.
And remember 321's official stance: wear your masks and be safe, and don't be a dick. Believe women
Officials.
and Black Lives Matter. I don't know, all of those things.
It's worded a
really
little differently on the website, but yes.
That's the phrase. Yeah. Use proper pronouns, be nice, do good things, all of those things. And our official stance is your dreams are worthy and you are valuable, and we want to tell your story. And then I'm going to let Java do his dad talk.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, actors. Well, people, thanks for joining us for Heart of Stone. In life, I think there's many people that will try to view you and turn you into a monster and say that you are. And being called a monster all the time will, in fact, turn your heart into stone. And I'm here to tell you, you are not. You are loved. For every bad Perseus, there's someone good who's trying to do the right thing. So don't let anyone in society try to manipulate you or be a pawn, because they're the ones who are broken and who are hurting. You're not a monster. You are loved, and thank you for joining us.
I love you guys. Thank you.
That was the most Tom Dreilinger thing I've ever heard.